So, hello and welcome back, everyone, after our lunch break. I hope you are ready for the next talks. We have 4 more to come today. And first up, after our break, is Markus. He had quite a break from talking at NeosCon. I think a couple of years ago, I heard you in Dresden the last time. Yeah, it's been a while. So welcome Markus on stage, and he will talk about how NEOS can help our planet.
Catchy, yeah. Thank you. Hello, everybody. As Anke already mentioned, I'm Markus. I'm actually the developer at Flow Native. Thankfully, also part of the NEOS team since 2018, I guess. Proud dad of 2 sons, husband, voluntary firefighter, member of a local council, and if I'm not sitting in front of my computer, I enjoy renovating pretty old houses. So on this picture, I've some wood from 200 years old oak beams in my hair, so that can be quite challenging and fun to build stuff with hands. So our world today. When I was a small kid, so in primary school time, my parents were working both. So when I have 6 or 7 weeks of vacation and summer holidays, probably not fit that they stay at home for me. So I attended holiday camps, and one of my first holiday camp was in Ganrode in the Harz. Probably you know it. And it was quite fun and beautiful, and I can play with all these other kids in my age there. And yeah, that led me to a time where my wife was sick, and my kids, also now in primary school, had winter holidays. And I said, okay, my wife is not at home, but we need some days off. Harz is not so far away from us, just 80 kilometers. It was good for me, so why not take some days off with the kids in the Harz, have fun in the hills? And yes, the Harz looked more like this. So it was not the same I remembered when I was a kid. And kids asked, yeah, why we have so much stumps here and why all the trees are dead? And yeah, it was quite challenging to answer all these questions. Just 1 year before, we had this flood in the Ahrtal, and the Germans maybe know everything. Yes, it was also for them quite challenging time. So many people lost its houses, and they could not do much because it was quite fast. Again, 2024. As I mentioned, I'm a voluntary firefighter, and some of my colleagues also had to work there. We had a fire for 17 hectares that has been burned on the Brocken. It took 5 days for firefighters and helicopters from the army to bring the fire under control. That picture is nearly as old as me. So in September, I was 2 at this time. It was a picture from the NASA, from the glacier Ökjökull in Iceland. And the special thing about it is that it was also in the press and German television and so on, that just some years ago, this glacier was the first glacier from Iceland that lost its state as a glacier. So it is no more. And that leads to the fact that, yeah, climate change is here and it is real. And I personally, my opinion, and a lot of scientists also, I don't want to discuss about it, and I feel angry about it if other people say, yeah, climate change has been always there. But now we are the root cause and not some circumstances from asteroids or whatever that change the climate. And that leads to the question of, what little things we can do. And I mean, maybe you all try to drive less with a car, take the bike, take the bus. Many of the people now traveled here by train to reduce their emissions or to be able to work while driving. We can think about things how we consume. So, me personally, I don't eat meat since 6 years or so now. You can choose local food. You can eat seasonal food. I'm lucky and have a garden, so I can plant my own food. But we can even do more. We can use renewable energies. I have fun with DIY projects as I build own stuff. I like to build own stuff. With home assistant and solar panels and controlling when I charge my car. And so you can really put a lot of effort and time into it. And as the developer, it's really fun, but it's also sustainable at some point. So we can fly less. Or since 2019, I stopped flying. So my last flight was to REACT conference in Helsinki. And nowadays I would say, okay, you're flying to Helsinki for 2 days conference and all talks are online. You can watch on YouTube or whatever. So is it worth it to do all these things? And is it enough that I personally, and you maybe are also, do to make the world a better place? So what can be maybe more impactful? So because I try to change my life and try to make it better for my kids, because that's main focus, to have a place where the kids can grow up. But is it enough to make this? And maybe can do more. And that leads me to the fact that when you look how much the internet emits, the statistics says that only China and India emits more carbon dioxide than the internet. So our whole internet communication industry was consuming 10% of the global energy. So it's internet, the whole data centers and everything we like to use. And as Robert already mentioned in the keynote today, it becomes more and more and more. So the International Energy Agency say that predictably we have doubled in just 5 years. And I don't know if they have the AI trend 2 years ago it becomes even more because of the AI. So maybe it's more than 20%. And as a cloud is not the magical thing, we need to think about it as a heavy machine. So it's not that I just download the app and then consume it and it comes at nothing. So it's no cost for it. It's a huge energy-hungry machine that's running our services. So if we watch 10 hours of Netflix or every streaming dienst you want to choose, you could also take your car and drive 10 kilometers to the bakery or whatever. If you see how much people stream, so when I go to the bus station in the morning with the kids, the older kids, when I'm coming back, just sitting there and swiping, watching videos, and 60% of the whole internet traffic is streaming. That's really huge. And we are all having such devices, so buying new phones all 2 or 3 years, and all these devices come with an ecological impact, because we need rare materials, we need metal, we need so much resources to just build the product and run the infrastructure. So in the end, we as digital natives, I mean, we are kind of the generation that know the system before we had internet everywhere. We know libraries and not just the phones. We are part of the problem, and the cost for that is that we today consume countless online services, everything we do. I mean, I also need to blame me, because before I take a paperback thing or so, I check everything online, because it's faster, it's more convenient, it's more accurate, because the data is newer. But the backbone for all this infrastructure are data centers, and data centers are energy hungry. They need drinkable water. I mean, just for cooling, and this is water that people could use also for, to have a drink. And even if you use renewable energies in the deserts for the data centers, like in Texas or so, they need water. And water is a rare good at this place. And with the growth of the cloud computing and all the AI services and models that are trained now, we are building more and more data centers. So if you watch the Apple keynote some years ago with Mother Nature, they said that they will be carbon neutral in just 15 years. Microsoft did the same, except that Microsoft removed their goals from their website. So if you take a look now, Microsoft says, yeah, we want to be carbon neutral, but not when, not how, because now we have AI. And all this convenience of our digital life comes at a cost and has a real impact for the environment. Maybe all of you know this little hobbit traveling through the world of Lord of the Rings. And Galadriel once said, even the smallest person can change the course of the future. So maybe you ask yourself now, yeah, okay, I already did so much, what can we do? What can be done and what can we do more? I mentioned that my son is in primary school now, so I took the statistics from HTTP archive, go back to his birth, and said, okay, websites are growing pretty heavily. So just 10 years ago, a mobile website has approximately 800 kilobytes in the first page view. If you see the purple now, we're at 2.5 megabyte. So all our new cool shiny devices that getting better every year and getting faster, and we have now 5G internet connection, maybe fiber at home. It is faster, yeah, sure, but maybe we forget about users that don't have that, or that it comes with an impact, and our software is more cluttered than in the past. We often think about conversion rates, bounce rates, because our customers want to sell more. And if the people go away from the website because the website is not fast enough, we need to improve it. So if we come to the web sustainability aspect and already worked on our web performance or accessibility, we will see that a lot of the things have common or overlapping strategics, and so you need to do similar things to reach the goals. And we try to analyze or audit on the example you probably already have visited today or yesterday, and try to experiment with some strategics you can do. As the talk is not because the topic is so huge, we already talked about it before the talk, that you have tons of things you can optimize to be more sustainable. And there are a lot of podcasts that have hundreds of episodes about it. So we can just scratch on the surface to make it. So probably you already visited our NeosCon website, or you use the app, I don't know. So I want to ask, who has already visited that website once? There are a lot, yeah. Maybe also multiple times. Okay. So if we want to make something better, developers first measure. Would be nice to know current state. For sustainability, we can use, of course, as we have web performance topics as well, the same tools we have for web performance testing, but there are also tools like website carbon.com, Carbon Footer NL. It is in Dutch, but when you translate it, this is an awesome tool. I like it. Digital Beacon CO, EcoGrader, or all my third parties, green.com. Webpagetest.org has also an eco-friendly testing, but it's behind the paywall. So if you use it for free, it's just web performance testing, and if you want to see which carbon impact these changes will have, you have to pay for it. All these tools are nice, but it's not, it's a guessing, it's estimation, because we don't have all the numbers in all the systems from the server package back to your device, how much electricity has been consumed. So we can just estimate it. And I tried to do that for NeosCon IO. And I also asked you for first visit and return visit, because it's, if the website taking care of it, it's really important, because we try to cache things in the browser. So our website in the first page view consumes 0.573 grams. So it doesn't sound that much. We have 1.8 megabyte, and the model tries to estimate how much carbon dioxide you emit per byte. So that we need for the model later. And on our web page, it's way less when we revisit the page. So if we assume we have 10,000 page views and say, okay, 40% of the visitors are new, we would emit 2.4 kilograms per month. So I could take my little electric car and drive to the bakery and back home, or watch 1 hour of streaming at home. If we see, don't know if I could, no, cannot see the cursor. If we see in the first page load, we have 35 images loaded, 5 style sheets, and 5 fonts. And the JavaScript is pretty heavy with 800 kilobyte. And that's the thing we need to concentrate on later on for the optimization. And all the tools are just checking the first page view, so the first viewport you see. So when we go on our website and scroll down to the footer, the impact is much higher, because then we have 8.5 megabyte. That's quite a good message, because that says that we use lazy loading as a pattern, for instance, to not load everything at once, and therefore the first page view is faster. To have an easy way to see if a web page is optimized or not, or if it's good for climate or not, there's a pioneering company called Whole Grain Digital. Tom Greenwood, the boss of this company, also wrote the book Sustainable Web Design, so recommendation later for this book. And they have introduced a rating system that reminds me a lot to a rating system you see when you buy a dishwasher or freezer, what else. So they try to calculate how much emission you have for 1 byte on this scale, and then define how much you are allowed to emit to get the rating for A, B, C, or whatever. So it should be easy to compare then your website. And the other tools use the scaler as well, but as this is just estimation, and they sometimes rate a bit more how you, what kind of host do you have, so the results are a bit different. So if you have one tool with a B, it can be that the other tool have a C. So it's more for the feeling and estimation, so it's no, real numbers at this point. With our Neos.io, we reached the D rating, so it's not so good, but it's better than the average. It's not better than the global average, or it's not better to be a bit better than the global average, but we have a lot of room for optimization. And as I mentioned, we have this sustainable web design model, and this model has been designed from the Sustainable Web Design Organization and the Whole Grain consulting company from London, and they try to to estimate how much carbon dioxide you emit for 1 byte, so that you can calculate it at the end. And in this model, we have 4 sectors. So we have the data centers that consume electricity, water, also production cost for all the servers. We need concrete for building the data centers and metal and all the things. So we need a lot of resources there. And then we have the component of the network transfer. That is the component that is the most complicated component to estimate, because packages have they go somewhere. You don't know why, and they're going different routes for maybe the same request. Then we have the end-user devices. That's here the biggest part with 52%. That's also electricity from home and production of your devices and so on. And if you have all these components, it is also, then you know how much energy would be consumed, but you don't know how much CO2 that would be emitted, because that depends on a lot of factors, like from which country you are, which daytime it is, because it can be that you have actually more windy time, or today we have a lot of sun. And so the grid carbon intensity is really important to calculate from. I have so many bytes that I need to calculate, but how much would it emit in carbon dioxide? And therefore it is obviously better to have a data center in Norway than in a country that have fossil fuels to run the data center there. And as mentioned, everything is just estimations, and the numbers with the weights also changed over the time. So if you have older information about the model, for instance, the data center has a higher impact, because data centers now also try to concentrate to be more on renewable energies, because their customer demands it and want that. The rating goes a bit down at the moment. That's good. So they're working on that. And if we as a developer want to estimate how much our website, for instance, we built a Neos dashboard, and in the Neos dashboard, we probably know how many page visits we have. We know on which date time we have it, and we could use this library from the Green Web Foundation to just render how much carbon dioxide we consumed this day on our page, for instance. So a lot of the tools use this library, so this library is also open source. The whole model was developed open source, so if you want to support them from the Green Web Foundation or use it as well, feel free. Like all the others already mentioned, that you could create PRs for stuff. So we can estimate it with that. So that was a lot of theory, and as we have our example of the NIASCon.io, we want to try to make it greener. And as we already heard, one sector from our 4 boxes is hosting. Here we are lucky because all websites from our NIAS Foundation are hosted with Beach, and Beach is using from Flow Native a German hoster that uses renewable energy, so we can check it. 15% saved, so that was easy. So if you go to the website from the Green Web Foundation, for instance, you can check by entering your URL if you're using a hoster that is green or not. It is not always that it's green because they use renewable energies, because you can also offsite, so you pay to become greener. So it would be better to have a hoster that is really using renewable energies and not just paying certificates. So, oops, that was too fast. So having addressed the hosting part, we can concentrate on the biggest part, the user experience and the user world. And the good thing is that in the web development, we sometimes have trends, and actually we have a trend of minimalism that comes at a good time for sustainable websites. So we have 2 strategies to make our website more sustainable. So we can reduce our content. So if we have really nice sliders we used some years ago with huge images and videos and whatever, we can think about if we really need it or if we can get rid of it. We can question in the team if we, in our case, really need a schedule, a speaker list with images and videos and everything on the start page, because we already see the speaker in the schedule. So why not have have both speaker list and schedule with speaker images? So it's always a progress within the whole development process for websites, because sometimes also a problem with web performance, the people say, yeah, it's a thing of the developers, but no, it is not. It's a problem that the whole team, with user experience designers, with content editors, with developers, so all need to work together and discuss topics to make it better. Because we first discuss if we need it to probably reduce it, and if we decide that this part of the page or of our digital service, can be app or whatever, is important, then we need to take a look if we need to optimize it to make it more performant and even better for us. So always need to think about and the whole team. And so I try to make some strategies always. We just need to think about remove unnecessary elements. We need to have a simple and clean architecture. So if we clutter our whole website or grooming our website, it is not helpful. We need semantical code because we are better than in web accessibility. I mean, in Germany we have this Barrierefreiheitsgesetz, don't know what's called in English then, but we need to take care of it. And with a sustainable website, with a performant website, and a better accessible website, we reach all 3 goals with nearly the same effort. And yeah, so we take a look at our website, and one thing is, I've 3 blogs about it. Images, I can go back here. The problems were scripts, images, and fonts, because we have 5 fonts. And when I take a look at our images, we have, on the first page load, 35 images. One image is really heavy with nearly 1 megabyte, and guess where this image comes from? it's not the hero image you see. It's in the footer, or close to the footer. So here we have an issue with our lazy loading, obviously. And the most pictures are from the speakers, as they are pretty small. Another thing we see is that the most pictures, except 4, are not WebP. So we have JPEGs, we have PNGs, we have some SVGs, but not so much. And if we keep in mind that we are going to the page and we just see a hero image with some text, so it's not much, just date of the conference and nothing more. And we're loading this all pictures. And one picture with 1 megabyte, and it's not really huge, is from the footer. So obviously not that good. If we use modern image formats like WebP or AVIF, we can save up to 90%, and we don't need to do much. As we see later, I tried to optimize the page, and it took me just 2 hours and just a few lines of YAML and writing a bit of JavaScript. No, not JavaScript. I just removed JavaScript and a bit of CSS to save a lot of data transfer here. So if we have images, we can try to optimize them, use WebP. In the case of the 1 megabyte picture, we could also optimize it to reduce the size, because when you go to the page down, it's a picture from Robert. It doesn't need to be that big. And if we think in a different direction, as I mentioned, it's not just a developer-centric topic. So we can also talk to our to our design department if we can find a more sustainable, nice, art-looking way to present our speakers. So most of the pictures here are just with 5 or 4 colors and the vector graphics. So of course it's more effort to build that, if not AI properly do it and consumes a lot of energy to make it. But it looks nice, it's kind of art, I guess, and it really saves a lot of data transfer and it scales perfectly. So if we use it for the schedule and for the speakers, it's the same file, and it looks good in all sizes. So pictures are nearly on all websites an issue, because most people don't care. And we can do with our CMS, with Neos, as we have all the optimization settings already in our Neos Media library, so it comes with 0 cost. We can optimize our pictures to the right format. We can resize them. If we talk to our design department, we can try if we can optimize it in using more vector graphics. I mean, if you're working in front end nowadays, you can so much just with vector graphics in the modern style sheets that was not possible some years ago, and therefore we used images for having a wave or whatever. And nowadays it's so much easier to build all these effects with much less cost. And of course we can decide to reduce our size and be a bit picky about our images if we really need it or not. On our site we also had 5 fonts. And fonts, even if you talk with design departments, that's really important because typography matters. And that's right, but if you think about the ecological footprint of the website, we need to ask if we really need these 5 fonts. In our case, we have a Roboto font twice, once bold and once regular. Then we have the work sans, and we have 2 fonts from Font Awesome. So guess what can be removed? From the Font Awesome, I counted, we just use 4 icons. 4. But we have 2 fonts. With 220 kilobytes in sum, with all the 5 fonts. Then we have the Roboto font that is loaded from our YouTube element we have in the bottom. So if you don't scroll to the bottom and don't watch the video, it's totally not worth it to load the 5 fonts. You just need one. And even this can be argued because, okay, I'm not a designer, I'm a developer, but if I have not the page side by side, and you show it to me with work sans and with the system font, not side by side, I would not say that's different. So you can discuss in the team, do we really need this single font for our content, or can we just use an SVG for our elements like a logo to have the typography for the brand and stay on system fonts? That would be the best. So we could get rid of all these 220 kilobytes here if we don't stick to work sans. In my experiment, I said, okay, we keep work sans, replace the 4 icons, and then we're done. So already talked about it. We should reduce it. Then it would be nice to have not 2 type fonts or other formats. So it would be good if you use modern font systems. Good point here in our case was we had already the web fonts in version 2. But if we have 5 fonts and don't use or need 5 fonts, it doesn't matter that it's efficient to use web fonts. So after the font section, we can go to the code. And in code, it's the same cluttering stuff like with the fonts. So we have 880 kilobytes of JavaScript and 130 kilobytes for the styles. If you use tools like Beacon, they say, okay, 550 kilobytes of your JavaScript is not used at all on your page. And your CSS partly as well. Okay, 100 lines of CSS is not so much. But the fun fact is that of all these data, just 16 kilobytes of JavaScript comes from us. So our website, neoscon.io, just have vanilla JavaScript, 16 kilobytes for the effects we use. So guess where all the other JavaScript is coming from? YouTube. So this one single element in the footer that probably the most of the visitors are not using bloats our whole website with 50% of the styles and maybe 99% of our JavaScript. And 2 fonts. So it's quite a lot just for one element. And here we can try to think about what we as open source developers can do to save this. Because if I have just one website, so I'm a developer for my only company and it's just this one single website, then maybe the impact is not that big. But if I develop packages, for instance, and use JavaScript libraries here and there, and don't think about the weight of all this JavaScript, and probably also implemented stuff that is not used by all people. So I ship my package with more weight than it should have. Or maybe I could use vanilla JavaScript instead of a JavaScript library like React or so I can get rid of this at all. And if we as developers make new sites, new services, we can think about if we really need this package, and if we need the package, we can evaluate if it's really in a good way, and if we, for instance, find a package that's not really sustainable and a bit wasty, for instance, used a lot of JavaScript that can be optimized, we can, of course, create a pull request in the open source world, but we first need to think about it. And even if we have not just packages, if we use third-party things like the YouTube, because this YouTube element is not a package, it's just a node type that embeds YouTube player in our website. we can think about other ways to achieve that, so that we have this YouTube or media player. Media comes later on. So that all the people that don't consume this video or audio, when you have an audio podcast or something like that, that they don't need to load all this data. And even if you, so it's more to my personal view then, if I go to the Neos UI code, we can optimize much because the Neos UI is pretty heavy, and okay, we can say it's in the backend, but in the end it's also processed and need to load it, and we can optimize it as well. So in the open source sector we have a real impact, because we not just build our single web page. Probably we have a service that is a Neos as hosted, or Neos as a service platform. Then we build just one package, and other people can have lots of Neos websites with this single package, and then it has a huge impact. And as I talked, that one or the only crucial element on our start page of the website was the video. We first, as always, to think, do we really need the video on the start page? Personal view, we don't need it. If you use it, please enable preload none, because maybe you already know or visited websites that start loading the video just before you watch the video, to have it more convenient that you just can start. It's already there. If you watch it or not, it has been loaded. And a good pattern would be to just run an image, for instance. And if you click on the image, you have a modal, and then just the users that need the video or the audio player for the podcast, load the stuff that is needed for that. Because I personally never watched the YouTube video from the NeosCon website. So we can save a lot here. And at this point, try to go out. I did a small experiment. It took me just, oh, we don't see it. So, there's a cursor. So, I downloaded the project, installed local beach, and tried to pimp it a bit. And on the first page load, we come down to 800 or nearly 759 kilobytes. And as we then can see, we have WebP everywhere. Yay! And if we check the sizes, can we see that? The biggest picture is now not 1 megabyte, it's just 266 kilobytes. And the others are way less. So I will show you just in a minute how less effort it was to reach it. So just by changing little things, we came down from 1.8 megabyte to, okay, now I scrolled a bit, so we have 600. But if you go down completely, images will load slowly. So the website looks completely the same, nothing changed. But when we are down and everything is hopefully loaded, logos. Logos can be improved, by the way, because all of the logos could be SVGs. That will save more. So that's the video. That's now just the image. And this is a crucial image that had 1 megabyte before, so it could be resized. And if we are down now, we are to 2.5 megabyte, and we came from 8 point something. Wait, I have it here, the live website. Oops. Did not expect that is not on my computer. Oh, oops. Sorry. Scroll here and there. the hero is missing. So we came from 8.4, nearly 8.5 megabyte. So 6 megabyte less. And you would be surprised because I didn't change much. Okay, so, oops. Yeah. The biggest impact was to just remove the YouTube stuff. So the YouTube is now just loading when you click on it, nothing when you have here. And all the images that were 7 megabyte before has been changed by this few lines. So I didn't code anything. I just configured NEOS. So the convert formats are regularly an empty array, so many people maybe never heard of it, but you can just configure to render WebP for the thumbnails. Then you can, of course, configure the quality. That's maybe a feature that the most people use. And that leads to the fact that the images are less, way more less than before. Then we had these 4 font awesome icons. I just used inline SVG for them to make it quickly and replace them. Oh, what's that? Don't know what things is doing. What is doing? Okay. So it took me not long to just move the 4 images, the SVGs to the CSS, remove the fonts. Okay, we need now the modal what opens the YouTube, so I need to change this as well. But even this image processing is much easier. And in the end, NEOS just did it, so we don't need to program stuff. We can improve it now, of course, because it's just a rough and quick fix to make it. So it would be way better to process the images to WebP when you upload it as editor, but that's also possible in NEOS, as we have the whole signets for that. So it's pretty easy to have a quick success here. And when I'm finding the right button, we can, oops, yeah. So we can achieve quite a lot, but actually we just hit the tip of the iceberg with that. To sum it up, we always need to ask ourselves, it's really necessary if we can reduce the content to make it more performant. And if we stick to the content we actually have on our page, we need to optimize it to, if it's not optimal at the moment, to make it better. So the benefits are way more than we probably think, because we have also this web performance stuff. So it's better, obviously, for the environment. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it for sustainability. We have lower bounce rates. We have lower loading times. We have better user experience. If we concentrate on accessibility as well, we also maybe fulfill already the Barrierefreiheitsgesetz we all need to take care about. And we lower our costs. So even for the managing, so it's not just the process of the website with developers and designers and so on. Even for the management level, it's maybe interesting because it lowers cost, it is faster. Probably if we have a shop or so, we consume more with our customers, or the customers consume a bit more because they don't move away. And if we, as for instance, an agency or so, say we take care on sustainability and web performance and accessibility, and so it is also stronger for us as brand, as a reputation to say we take care, we think about it. And as I mentioned, it is not a thing you make just quickly, as I now, for this example, quick and dirty. It's a thing you need always to think about and take care of. And it's also not a thing you just do once and then you're done. It's ongoing because your editors always do stuff. Even if you build the best sustainable and performant website, the editors probably used a lot of content that's not necessary for the people, and then you just blow up your website again. So you always need to think about it. And yeah, there's of course way more we can do. And as Anke is staying there, maybe my time is over. You can of course I will send the presentation later, so there are links to the organizations and to the books. So book from Team Greenwood is pretty good. For the design people, the sustainable UX people are awesome. Sustainable web design is if you don't want to book a good summary, and if you take a look for green hosting and services, you can take a look at the Green Web Foundation. And if you already know the web accessibility guidelines, it would be maybe also good to take a look at the web sustainability guidelines from last year, I guess. So it's pretty new, because it's more than just web development. You need also to think about sustainable community events, and yeah, in open source you can do a lot more. Just a last. Just to remember this glacier in Iceland, they put a sign on the place where the glacier was to remember that we need to act, and hopefully our future generations know that we did it best. Yeah. So, guess we have no time for questions. But sorry.
Thank you, Markus. Yeah, we are a little bit out of time for questions, but you are here.
I'm here
today.
for the coming 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. So grab him and ask him any questions you like. I think it's some passion you want to talk about. Yeah. And if you want to follow the sustainability path, we have tomorrow in the afternoon at 2 p.m. Carsten Windler, who's also talking about sustainability in software development. So that's a recommendation for all of you who are here and want to follow this talk and have a deep dive in this topic. And Toby has a present for you for being here and for your awesome talk.
Honey.
So thank you again, and we hope to see you soon on the stage again.
Thank you.